Welcome. My name is Jeremy O'Connell, and I am the lead or head developer for the Connect2SSH Bash utility. In this video, I'm going to show you how you edit or update a server record. Now, keep in mind, as I've said before, a server record could be anything. I use the word server here, but it's any record in the Connect2SSH utility. So you could be connecting to a server, bare metal, cloud, VPS, or you could be connecting to a piece of networking equipment like a router, a dedicated firewall, a switch that has SSH in it. Maybe you've got a printer, or 2 or 3 or 4. Any node that has an SSH daemon or server running that will accept SSH connections. So I'm just going to use server here when I'm talking, but again, keep in mind, it doesn't have to be an actual server. It's anything with SSH in it that has the ability to accept an SSH connection. So going back to the terminal here, if you aren't sure what the command is, I'm going to tell you, but if you ever get confused, remember Connect2SSH space help will give you the list of available commands. And we want to update a server, so it's going to be update-server, or US for short. You can see it updates a saved server/host. So let's issue that. So Connect2SSH, we will do US for short, update server, hit enter, and now you can see here the action is update a server/host, and it's saying how to load server record. So we can either enter by ID, which is the default, or by name. So we can either search for the record by ID, like server ID 1, server ID 49, or we can enter it by name, like CentOS development box, or however. It does have to match though. So if you enter ID, which we'll go ahead and hit ID, and now we have to enter our server ID. We'll say hit 1. Then it's going to say editing server, or well, it's going to say editing CentOS or CentOS web server. I prefer CentOS, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and let's say let's edit this to be a capital OS for CentOS, although CentOS is a little bit less. But anyway, so I'm going to hit enter because I've made my change. Now it's going to ask me for the server address, which could be an IP or a fully qualified domain or a host name, whatever. It just has to be routable. You have to be able to connect to that. We'll just say that this didn't change in this case. So hit enter. Well, the port didn't change for our node. But let's add a exclamation mark as a change. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Now it's saying confirm updating record, and it's going to give you the new information. As you see here, we have our capital OS, which was not in the original record. And you can see here, we now have our exclamation mark. Now we have to type yes to save or update or no to cancel. And it defaults to no to save it, to make sure safeguard your data. So you have to type in yes. If I type in yes, you'll see here success. And then you'll see here now our CentOS OS web server record. It's changed from the lowercase to the uppercase. And if I clear and I run a Connect2SSH and I do an ls, which is list servers, you will see here we now have our capital OS. So let's go ahead and edit another one. Let's do it by name. So we'll do by FreeBSD development here. Go ahead and copy this so we know what it is. Clear this, connect. We'll do update server this time, just showing you different ways of doing it. We'll backspace and put in name. And we'll paste in FreeBSD development. And right now it's easy to remember, but if you had 4 dozen records or 100 records or 1,000 records, you're not always going to remember. So anyway, hit enter. And now it's saying server name FreeBSD development. So we're not going to change that. Let's change maybe our address change. So we'll enter in a 1 here. So now we have freebsd.ourdomain1.tld. Let's say our port changed. We changed that to 2205.05. And our nodes haven't changed. So I hit enter. And once again, it's saying, do you confirm these changes? You see we now have the 1 here, where before we did not. We changed our port. So it's reflecting that. If we want to save those changes, we'll enter yes. And those changes have been saved. If I clear this, I can then run the Connect2SSH list servers again. Here, I'll just type it out this time just so you can see me doing it different ways. List servers. And now you will see that the connection, the address changed from just domain.tld, our domain.tld to, freebsd.ourdomain.tld to freebsd.ourdomain1.tld, and the port changed from 2200 to 2205, I should say. Now what happens if you enter the wrong information? Let's do that. Connect2SSH US for update server. We'll enter ID, and let's say, I think the server was on port, or not port, but I think it was server ID 5. Oh, failed. Server record doesn't exist. Okay, so let me do another search. We'll do it by name, and let's see. How about we enter FreeBSD? Well, that fails too. I know I had a FreeBSD one in here. What is it? Because it's saying the server record does not exist. So in that case, well, obviously, excuse me, have to enter the correct information and spell clear correctly. But if you don't know the information, obviously you're going to have to do an ls on it. So if we do an ls, you'll see, oh, that's right. The FreeBSD, it's FreeBSD development. That's right. It's server ID 2 right here. So you're obviously going to have to use that. Now, there'll be some records I'm sure you use a lot, some hosts that you use over and over and over. So that will become very familiar to you, and you'll just know those, like a robot. Boom, go do this. But if you don't know it, you're obviously going to have to do the list servers and get a list and then go say, oh, that's it when you go edit it. So just note that, and you can come back here obviously and find that. So that's how easy it is to update or edit a server. And again, a server can be anything that can accept an SSH connection. I just had to pick a name for something. I'll see you in the next video.